Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Noor and this is Simplify Homeschool. Today we are continuing the series Instilling Independence in Learning. In the last two sessions, we covered early education years and we talked about the child brain development and some of the ideas how we can use their play to teach them, to help them build their concentration and become more independent. We also talked about some of the open-ended toys and activities you can put together which are easy, simple and effective. Our topic for today is self-correcting activities, or a Montessori concept called as the control of error. I have personally used the Montessori ideas with my eldest when he was younger. I actually turned my house into a Montessori preschool. I was very passionate and zealous back then, and I actually went ahead and bought the Montessori albums, read a lot of books about her work, and I almost decided that I'm going to get certified as a Montessori directress. But I'm glad I didn't go in that direction because homeschooling gives us the option to explore many different educational philosophies, and we shouldn't be restricting to one because every philosophy gives something valuable and there is no point in confining to one particular one. I would not recommend completely going for something like that, like transforming your home into a Montessori preschool, because it's a lot of work. And you could just read about some of her ideas and benefit from them. My understanding of education has become hopefully more well-rounded after reading a lot of other educators and their philosophies. And I don't think that's, trying to do something like that is wise. You want to make homeschooling as easy for you as you can while learning from these educators and applying their philosophies or ideas and making it easy and accessible and cheap and simple for yourself. That's one of the goals why I'm sharing these videos and these concepts, because I want you to see what are the possibilities, and hopefully this should help you in your journey in home education. Now, what is control of error? It basically means that the work or the activity that the child is doing, they are able to correct their work on their own. So the activity itself, the material itself helps them correct their work without getting help from anywhere else. In fact, this is part of Maria Montessori's brilliance, that she designed all these materials that help a child learn independently. And that's why her concepts, this is one of her main concepts, and it's so popular, and we have preschools, Montessori preschools all over the world. This material from Montessori preschool best demonstrates the control of error. This one's called a knobbed cylinder, and you can see that the way this is made, it's easy for a child to see if they make a mistake. There's only one slot for each, there's only one match for each one, and then when you are not able to put the others back, then you would be able to correct it. The child can see that something's wrong. It's very visual, and because there is nothing is of the same size, there's only one exact match. The child can easily correct their work because it just won't work unless they fix it. Okay, so this is an example of the control of error, how it works. I want to just quickly touch on the benefits of this approach. When a child is able to correct their own work, it helps their ability to analyze and solve problems. Now, what does that mean? So if the activity itself is going to help them correct the problem, it's going to build that analytical skills, that if something goes wrong, let me try to figure out what's going wrong here. Why didn't this fit here? Let me try something else. So it fosters that kind of problem solving or analytical skills. And I can understand, Montessori actually wanted to enroll in a technical school, an all boys technical school, and become an engineer. So I understand, I can see her background playing into some of the suggestions that she had. Also, she was working with special needs children in the beginning, and actually her materials were designed for special needs children. So I can see how she wanted to eliminate some of the communication problems that could come up with, in her situation as she's trying to teach these children. And so she eliminated that need to, guide the work from another person, and made it more within the material itself. So all of her activities are teachers in themselves, if you understand what I'm saying. So anyways, coming back to some of the advantages of control of error. So they help the child analyze the problem and fix it and correct their own activity and their own mistakes. This also helps them build their confidence or self-esteem. Now, children at that age, they have this drive to want to do things by themselves, and they gain this confidence, the smile on their face when they are finally able to do something on their own. It's just remarkable, right? So part of the advantage of having self-correcting activities is that they gain that independence and that self-confidence, and that that self-esteem is built through these activities. Now, another thing it helps them do is it builds their, it makes them feel more independent. Now, the children, as they grow, they are developing this concept of, the self-awareness or the self-concept that I'm actually separate from mom and dad, and I'm my own person. And this coinciding with activities that help them do it by themselves without feeling dependent on somebody else is actually a good thing. So again, it builds that independence, and it lines up with our goal of the series, which is to instill independence in their learning. Now, part of the brilliance of Maria Montessori is that she understood the developmental stages, and she was a keen observer. So she was from a science background. She wanted to be an engineer, then she ended up becoming a physician. I do see why there was criticism for her, but I do believe that she was a brilliant woman, and we can learn from her suggestions and her ideas. So here are some of the things that I want us to focus on, and then that would help us put our own self-correcting activities. Number one, all her activities had the concept of control of error, which I already covered. Second, if you see her activities, they are very simple. They are made with natural materials, and there is a simplicity to it. I'll give an example. Now, the pink tower. If you have not seen the pink tower in a Montessori preschool or don't know about it, just Google it and you can see. All it is a set of blocks gradually reducing in size that a child is supposed to stack. So that's the activity, stacking activity with blocks of different blocks, and the size goes smaller and smaller as they stack it. So that's the activity. Now, if you notice, she uses the same color for all the blocks. There is no other distraction on the block. The attention of the child is focused, even with the tiniest of kids, it's easy for the child to focus their attention on the size of the block. So her materials don't have too many elements going on there, distracting the child's attention away from the main lesson of the activity. So the pink tower is introduced very early on, and it's something that is supposed to draw the child's attention towards the size of the block. Now, if you compare this with a regular stacking set, I know this because I had one set in my house. It was the same thing. It was made of cardboard though, and it was like all these stacking blocks that the child is supposed to stack, just like the pink tower. But here's the difference. This one had all these prints and pictures of animals. It was really colorful, and on one side of the one face of the cube there was a picture of an animal. On the other side of the other face of the cube there was a picture of letters. On the third side there was numbers, and on the fourth side there was something else, I think shapes or something. But basically there was a lot going on in that, on those cubes, and the any parent would look at that and say that, oh, this is a great material because, you know, I can teach the letters, I can teach the numbers, I can teach, you know, there's so much I can do, the child can learn from this toy. But think about the amount of distraction it will bring to the lesson, the main lesson, which is the stacking. So that's something that I admire about her materials, that they are free from all these distractions. They are very simple, and she always used her materials in a way that if the size is changing, she would not change the color, or if the color is changing, you know, I'm just giving an example, that if something is changing, either one thing would change or two things would change. And if you look at those knobless cylinders, some of them have the size changing and the height changing, and some of them just have the height changing. I will show you the materials and examples so you will understand what I'm saying. Now, another thing to note is that there was always a singular concept being covered in each of the activities. There was not too many things being thrown in. Now, this kind of simplicity helps the attention of the child get drawn to the main lesson, and the children are able to learn just from this, you know, just the fact that it's isolated and separate from all the other distractions. It immediately helps the child get engaged with the lesson and learn and master the main concept that she's trying to teach through that activity. That's another thing which is incredible about her materials. Now, do we have to go and buy Montessori materials? No. Do we need to create a Montessori preschool? No. That's not my recommendation. What I do want you to learn from this session is that you can put together your own self-correcting activities, and I will show you how you can put together your own activities. But before that, let me show you what I have in my home, which is from a typical Montessori preschool, and then I will share with you some of the other materials that are available in the market which you can use, which falls in line with this concept, and you can use it, or you can even put some of these things together by yourself. Here's another example of a Montessori material from the preschool years. No, actually this is used even for upper grades. This one's called a Binomial Cube, and for higher grades, for younger grades it looks just like a puzzle. It's solved just like a puzzle, but for higher grades it's actually a representation of the binomial theorem, which is amazing, like a more concrete, a visual representation of the binomial theorem. But if you think about it, this is a self-correcting puzzle because there is a pattern to it. It's like the same color has to touch the color here. So when I'm building this puzzle, let's say I start with the blue, the solid blue. And then if I want to put the next piece here, I have to make sure it's the same height. Plus, I have to make sure that the black part touches the black part and the blue part touches the blue part. Okay, so if I'm going to put something here, I know it's going to touch the blue part. So I have to make sure that blue touches blue and black touches black. So I have to put it this way. You see what I'm saying? And then you have to make sure that the height is right. So children are able to figure out these kind of things. I don't want to make it like a, you know, you can Google these kind of videos where they show how you demonstrate these kind of activities and stuff. But I don't want this video to become all about Montessori preschool. Here's another example of a self-correcting activity. This one was suggested in the language arts album of the Montessori curriculum that I was using with my eldest. So basically here you have all these pieces that you can, where the letters need to go, and only the right letter can fit there. So if I take the E for elephant and if I figure it out, only that spot will work only for E. If I try to put E somewhere else, it will not work. Or if I try to put another letter here, it will not work. Only E will fit there. Okay, so that's how the child can correct their work. You can start using something like this with the younger ages, just with the letters. And for a slightly later stage, you can use these kind of strips. There's many of these strips available. I think I have about 6 sets with 12 pieces, 12 puzzle pieces each. So basically the child has to match it and only the right answer will fit. So for bear, let's say, only B will fit here. But if they try to put another letter which looks similar, it just won't work. So something like that. This is a pretty pricey material. I don't think this is necessary, but you can start looking for things which correct. And I will give you another example of something that I bought for much cheaper. This is something that I bought from the, like I mentioned, from the TJ Maxx or some discount store. And these are self-correcting puzzles, and each box was about, I think, $5. But you can see that these correct themselves. Like the child, when they're matching it, only the right answer will fit with the right piece. So for this one, I think this is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So with this one, only the right answer will fit. You see? So when they are matching up each of them, the child can correct it because there is like these pieces that fit into each other, which kind of give away the right way of doing them. You get the same kind in letters, words. I've seen these often in the discount stores, and they come in a huge variety of combinations for letters, phonics, sounds, numbers, things like that. Here's another one which is a family favorite. This is called as Mini Luke. Actually, years ago my friend suggested that this product to me, and she said she used to play with this as a kid, and then she bought it for her kids. And when I saw this, I was so impressed that this actually uses the same self-correcting control of error concept that is talked about in a Montessori preschool. So this one, basically the child has to solve the puzzle using these pieces, and once they put all the answers together, they can check it. So basically each of these pages have like a puzzle, like each of the questions have one answer where one of the tiles can go. So all you do is you put this clear part of the tray on top of the puzzle, and then you put the right answer on these. And once you build that, once you put all the right answers, you can shut it and then flip it. And once you flip it, on the other side, you should be able to see the same pattern that you see here. So let me show you. So you see a pattern here, right? So each page has a pattern here on the top. That's the pattern you should be able to make with your right answers. If you don't, then that means you did something wrong. So you have to go back and do it again. And you can watch a video on Amazon or YouTube or something for this product. It's called Mini Luke, and it has a series of puzzle booklets where different kind of concepts are covered, like critical thinking, visual perception, math, counting, geometry, the phonics stuff. Like this, tons of books. It has this handy chart where you can pick the kind of skills that you want to teach. So it's a really nice resource, and they're all self-correcting. So if you have like more than one child and you want to work with the elder one and the little one has to be busy, something like this is so easy to keep them distracted, help them work on something, help them grow in their analytical skills and problem solving skills, and build any of these skills listed here. And at the same time, be independent. They don't really need you. They can correct their own work and have fun doing it. So this is a great resource, again, which follows the same concept.
The correct one, I guess, right?
Yes, that's the same pattern, so that means it's correct. The self-correcting puzzle thing can be extended in many ways. You can make printables, and you can design your own, you can put together your own activities. Now this is an activity that I had bought from a Montessori inspired blog or something where I bought this printable, and I basically just put a bunch of options, pictures and a bunch of words, and I let my child match them. Now, when you're making something self-correcting, what you have to keep in mind is you eliminate anything that is going to add too much confusion. So the number of items that are to be matched on both sides should be equal. That way they don't have any leftover pieces, and they can be sure that something has to go, something has to work here. Another thing you can do is when you are cutting, making this kind of a printable, what you could do is make different shapes here. Like for example, let's say you make that kind of a shape here, and when you're cutting it, don't cut straight, cut along this line. So then it becomes like a puzzle piece. So this piece will fit only with this one, like what would you call it? But basically like a puzzle. So you can do these kind of things to make your own puzzles, your own activities which are self-correcting. There used to be another counting activity that I used to do where I would choose the colors of the blocks in such a way that if he's using the number 1, the number 1 block that I used, let's say a yellow cube, there would only be 1 yellow cube in that pile, and like 2 pink cubes for the 2, and 3 orange cubes, let's say, so on and so forth. So that each step he knows that there cannot be a yellow cube here, because for number 3, let's say, because there is only 1 yellow cube. Basically, to sum it up, you just want to make it self-correcting. You want to do it in such a way that they can check it themselves. And you can look at these kind of puzzles and activities and get a fair amount of idea, I hope, to be able to do it yourself. See that this simple concept, control of error, can be applied in so many ways for so many activities at so many different grade levels. You can use it in your just like in a workbook you have like a word bank, or sometimes when you have like a series of questions and you have like a bank from which you have to select the words. So what does that do? Basically, that's doing the same thing. It's, that these answers have to fit here. So if the right answer is not, if you don't get the right answer in a spot, you can go back and revisit the ones where you use the other words and check it, right? So that same concept gets extended and applied for different grade levels. But I really like this concept because first it makes everything look like a puzzle and it becomes like a game. Secondly, it's very engaging. Thirdly, the child can correct their own problems, and it becomes a great way to bring some independence in their work and also boost their confidence.
Now, I hope that was of benefit. Thank you for watching, and continue with the series. Thank you.